my name's Alyssa Blanchett. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Alyssa. My name is Kim Fensky. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks.
Did you find the place all right?
I did. Thank
awesome.
you. Good directions.
Oh, good. I'm glad they worked well. How was your holiday?
Pretty good.
Good.
A little stressful, but great.
Well, it's always a little stressful around the holidays.
Absolutely.
Did you do anything exciting?
Just spent lots of time with my kids and my extended family, yes.
Oh, that's nice. Did you have to travel very far, or did you stay at home?
I stayed home. My
That's
kids
awesome.
came to me, which was, that's stressful enough just because they have a long way to travel, 3 hours.
Wow.
It's a little difficult. I always worry about, them, getting in traffic and having incidents, but everything was fine.
Especially during the holidays. It's crazy.
It is. It is.
I'm glad they made it okay. That's always nice to hear.
Thank you.
Did you do anything else special with your kids while they were down here?
Yeah, we just all kind of hung out, and then we ate, and spent a lot of good time together.
That's awesome. It's always good to spend time with families. So.
Yes, it is.
All right, Kim. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to know a little bit about what brings you in today.
Mostly because I am, and have been for probably the last couple of years, I'm borderline on the high blood pressure part. So not exactly, I just really do not want to have to take medication. For some reason, I have this aversion to it. I do not want to.
Yeah.
So I'd like to try to learn more about managing how I can do that with my diet and exercise and things of that nature.
Well, that's perfect because that is exactly what I can do for you. So,
okay, great.
Yeah, that is what we'll talk about today. And I don't like taking medication either, so I can relate to that. And we can definitely look at some ways to lower your blood pressure or keep your blood pressure low so that you will be able to avoid the medication. I see you brought your forms in. Would you mind if I take a look?
No, feel free.
All right. Okay, so you stay at home. It's just you and one other person.
That's correct.
Is that a kid, a husband?
It's my husband. He travels frequently, so for the most part, I am alone most of the time. But he generally is home most every weekend, and sometimes a little bit more than that. But it just depends on his travel schedule.
So. Okay. And it says that you eat out some, but you mostly eat at home?
I do.
Okay.
It's a mixture.
What do you usually do when you go out to eat?
Generally, if I eat out, I'm eating out at lunchtime. I actually work in my office, and I have a working lunch for the most part. So a lot of times we have another coworker that will go and pick up lunch for us. If I have not brought my lunch, he'll go and pick up lunch for us and bring us back. So that's kind of my fast food, if you will.
Okay.
What I generally do. And that's generally my biggest meal of the day.
All right. Well, that all looks pretty good. Okay. So what we can do going forward is we can go through what is called a 24-hour recall. So what we're going to do is you can just take me through a typical day. I know the holidays for this weekend. So we can do something a little more like a typical work day, you would say.
Okay.
And just take me through what you would eat from when you wake up to when you go to bed in that 24-hour period. Does that sound okay?
That sounds fine.
All right. And what
might be disappointing.
No, I'm sure it's fine. Just be honest. It's totally okay, whatever you say. So don't be intimidated. Would you mind if I take notes while we're doing this?
No, go for it.
All
it's
right.
fine.
So you can start whenever.
Okay. Generally, I'll get up and I will have a cup of coffee. Well, first of all, I take my medication because I'm supposed to take that first thing in the morning on an empty stomach with some water. So I do that. Then I'll have 1 cup of coffee. I have usually just a little bit of creamer. And no sugar, just a little creamer, and it's usually non-fat.
Okay.
Then I typically do not eat. I'll go on to work. If I'm a little bit hungry, I tend to have some Cheez-Its in my desk.
Okay, Cheez-Its.
So I love my Cheez-Its. I drink a ton of water.
So
I drink a lot of water. I do have my Fitbit, so I kind of track my water intake and my step count all the time. So that's kind of how I keep track of my exercise. But I'll get to work. I'll get some Cheez-Its. I'll have my water. I'll generally kind of eat a few handfuls of that. I honestly don't. I could tell you exactly how much. Unfortunately, some days are less than others. But and then for the most part, it's like when lunchtime gets around, usually somewhere between 11 and 12.
Okay.
And at least once, sometimes twice a week, I do the Mexican. One of my coworkers will go out, and generally it's either sometimes I'll have a fajita. It's always chicken. I don't very rarely do I get beef, red meat. So I usually do chicken. It'll be a chicken fajita chimichanga or a chicken fajita taco salad, something of that nature. Okay. But I will eat it, and I will eat it all.
Okay, so the whole big Mexican serving?
Yes.
I do the same thing.
Which is probably not the best idea, but
that's okay.
In my mindset, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to eat this because I'm usually not going to eat supper at night.
Yeah.
So, and I have more time through the day to try to work it off. if you will.
Yeah.
So that'll take me through, until I get off work, and usually I'll come home, and I if I don't have my steps in, I'll try to make sure that I get my steps in. I've always got my water intake in by the time I get home from work.
Okay.
I generally don't eat much at night. Occasionally, if I'm hungry, I eat junk. If I'm hungry, I will eat some chips. Sometimes kettle chips with some nacho cheese dip.
Okay, kettle chips and nacho cheese dip.
Or I love popcorn. A lot of times I will do popcorn, but I have to have the real butter.
Okay.
And I put Parmesan cheese on it.
Okay.
And actually, a lot of times I will drink a Coca-Cola, just a straight Coca-Cola. I do not drink soft drinks anymore. I don't drink any diets. If I drink, it's water, occasional glass of wine, or I'll drink, a Coke. But the Cokes are like once, maybe every 6 months or so.
Okay. So when you're having this dinner meal, you're either eating the kettle chips or the popcorn usually. How much would you say that you typically eat during that time?
Not a lot.
Not
I don't.
Lot.
No.
Okay.
Honestly, I can't tell you based upon consumption whether if you're talking about cups or the measures. If the measurements, if I said a good handful of chips, probably one good handful of chips would probably be all I would eat.
Okay.
Now the popcorn, on the other hand, I will.
More popcorn than
I'll
chips.
eat a lot more. Yes, I will eat a lot more popcorn.
Okay, it's good to know.
I can tell you, it's like my weaknesses are real butter, and I know that that's probably bad for me. And bacon, I love bacon. I love to cook bacon. On the weekends when my husband's home, we'll usually have a really big breakfast. We'll have bacon and eggs and toast, and sometimes hash browns. And I just really like real butter, and I like bacon.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with what you like. That's what you like.
Unfortunately,
you're gonna eat it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run you back through a couple things really quick. So you said in the morning you have coffee with a little bit of creamer, no sugar. About what time would you say you have that at?
I get up about 5:45, so by the time I'm having put the coffee on when I'm getting a shower, so probably by 6:10.
Okay, 6:10. And then you say when you get to work, you typically have a couple handfuls of the Cheez-Its.
And that's usually, I'm at work by 7, so if I... usually by the time my coworkers get there at 7:30, and then one gets there at 8, so it's usually more like 8:30, quarter to 9-ish.
Okay.
8:30, 8:45.
At 8:45. And then you said you'll eat lunch around 11 to 12.
Yeah, it's probably closer to like 11:30, but we're right
perfect.
there. Yes.
And then you said you'll get home, you'll just eat just enough to get the hunger edge off. Sometimes the kettle chips.
Yeah, and that's generally not until that's probably closer to like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Okay. And then you said sometimes you'll have a Coke or not a bottle, but a glass of wine.
Yes. Now, I usually, if I do the glass of wine, it's right before I go to bed to kind of help me with my sleep.
And how often do you drink that glass of wine?
I would say it's like 4 to 6 times a week.
Okay. And do you go for red or white wine?
I go to red.
Red. All right. And then you said sometimes on the weekends you'll have that big breakfast with your husband with the bacon, the eggs that you love.
Yep.
All right. But that's a weekend thing. You typically don't eat a breakfast during the work week.
I do not. No.
Okay. Is there anything when you look at this that jumps out at you when you think of high blood pressure?
Well, of course. I mean, I know that, bacon and eggs, or, bacon and cheese and fast food and the Cheez-Its, and I mean, none of that's probably really healthy for me.
Okay.
And butter. I mean, I know that real butter is not good, but again, I like it, so I'm probably not going to change my overall lifestyle. I mean, I will do what I can, but
okay. Well, that's good. No, it's good to know. It's nice to know that some of those things that jump out at you. Those are the same things that jump out at me: the Cheez-Its, the bacon, the Mexican food. Obviously, those are things that you like. You're not going to eliminate those completely,
right?
And that's okay. But we might maybe work towards some goals if you're willing on maybe to incorporate some healthier options or just some more nutrient-dense options to help lower the blood pressure. That way you don't have to get on that medication.
Yes, sounds good. I'm open to it.
Okay,
yes.
That's awesome. So what I've got here for you today is this is a handout, and it's about the DASH diet. Is the DASH diet something you've ever heard of before?
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so what the DASH diet is it is a diet specifically made for people who have high blood pressure or for lowering blood pressure. And it stands for the Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension.
Okay.
And it is a pretty complex diet. And we can kind of go through this together.
Okay.
So what it's saying, it's designed to help lower your blood pressure,
Okay.
by making changes to how we eat. So it's going to be all about the diet, not necessarily the exercise.
Okay.
Although the exercise is obviously going to help as well.
Okay.
And then it says that the DASH diet includes high levels of whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, fruits and vegetables, those sorts of things.
Okay.
And then lower amounts of your fats, red meats,
Yeah.
and the sweets.
Yeah.
So kind
Sweets
of what
are not
you would
an issue.
expect.
Yeah.
Sweets
Okay.
are not an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
for
didn't
me.
seem like it from the recall, so
No.
that's good.
Okay.
And then, so what you've heard from your doctor, here we've got the blood pressure ranges.
Mhm.
Where are you at according to this chart?
I am more like, I think I'm pre-hypertension based on
Pre-hypertension.
from what I have seen, and I do try to keep I've kept logs on
Yeah.
it, so I'm aware of it.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And it's nice that you're just at that pre-hypertension level.
Right.
So this diet, really just incorporating some of these things, not the whole diet, could really help, keep that blood pressure down. So
Okay.
you don't have to start a medication.
Okay.
And here we've got what the DASH diet entails.
Okay.
So we've got grains, 6 to 8 servings a day. So that
Ooh.
seems like a lot. Yeah. So
Yes,
and
that's
those
a
are going to
whole
be
lot.
a lot of your whole grains, not necessarily
Such as
whole wheat bread or whole wheat
Okay.
spaghetti.
Okay. Which I try to do that now. I mean,
Yeah.
when I buy the bread and when I buy my even spaghetti, it's like
Mhm.
I will do the whole grain. So
That's awesome. Yeah. And then we have our vegetables and fruits.
Okay.
So the serving is half a cup, and we want about 4 to 5 servings of those a day each. Yeah. So it's a lot. And then we have the low fat or non-fat dairy. We don't want like whole milk or even 2% milk, and we want that about 2 to 3 servings a day.
Okay.
So again, might be more
Yogurt.
than what you're having.
And
Yeah,
yogurt could work for that.
Mhm. But
Okay.
you would again want to stick to the low fat,
Okay.
non-fat
Gotcha.
yogurts
Okay.
according to this diet.
All right.
Meat, poultry, and fish. You want 6 or less servings per day, and the servings are in ounces. So
Okay.
that might seem like
So
a lot.
but if you're talking about a
really-
3-ounce piece of chicken,
Yes, that's about the size of a deck of cards.
right?
So when you're thinking about 2 decks of cards, it's
Right.
really not that much meat.
Okay, I gotcha.
So it might sound like a lot, and it's saying 6 or less a day.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get that whole 6.
Okay.
And then there's nuts, seeds, and beans, so your other
Nuts,
source of
seeds,
protein.
Yeah.
Notice that this is servings per week, not per day.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need 4 to 5 servings per day of
Yeah.
those nuts and seeds, but you'd want to get them in there throughout the week.
Okay.
And that's the same with these sweets. It's on a per week basis, and you want less than 5 servings.
Okay. Well, that's not a problem.
Yeah,
so,
it doesn't seem
okay.
like it from your recall, so that's something that you probably wouldn't have to worry
On the
about. too much.
oils, it does have the oils, so that
Yes,
obviously
sorry.
is where my butter problem comes in.
Mhm. So, butter, it's okay to have every once in a while, but this is saying 2 to 3 servings per day.
Okay.
That's in the teaspoon amount. So if you're using a lot of butter,
Okay.
then you might want to reduce
So,
that.
like, if I
But-
had a whole grain bagel,
Mhm.
I would just get if I needed real butter, then
Yeah.
I just needed to cut that down to a very, very small amount.
Yeah, so maybe you could just measure it out, or maybe measure out what you're using now and
Okay.
compare it to what they're saying you should
Okay.
use, just to kind of get an idea. And even if you're not limiting it just to the 2 to 3 servings a day, just reducing it a little would help.
Okay. Right.
So it's not like you have to follow this exact word for word, serving per serving. 'Cause
Right.
It's
It's a guideline, I guess.
yeah, it's a guideline, and it's pretty extensive. Like, there's a lot that goes into this, especially if you're not eating throughout the day.
Right.
It can be hard to get all of those servings in.
Yes.
And then down here, we've got what a serving looks like. So this might just be helpful for you to go through if you
Yeah.
wanted to incorporate some of those things. Because, when it says eat
No,
4 to
I
5 servings per day, well, what does a serving look like?
Okay.
And
Right.
even for like the fruits and vegetables, it's different if you have fruit juice versus an actual fruit.
Piece of fruit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And like leafy greens versus something like broccoli. That serving size is different.
Okay.
So that it shows you there
Yeah.
what that serving size looks like.
Yeah, but I think this would be very, very helpful. Trying to, like you said, just trying to understand exactly what a serving means. It's
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah.
is that one piece of fruit, or is it
Mhm.
if it's canned, or if you have fresh cut fruit? It's like how
Exactly.
much do I use that? So that
Yeah.
I think that would be really a good guideline.
Mhm.
So
And I know it's a little small on this
That's
handout,
it's okay.
but there are some resources down here that are, that will go into what that
Okay.
serving looks like. Or maybe it will provide some examples for you if that was something you would be interested in.
It would be. I mean, I think it's it's definitely for the betterment of my health. So it's a good step in the right direction.
It is, yes. And like I said, this isn't something you have to follow, but it is recommended for lowering blood pressure, keeping it low. And like I said, since you're on that pre-hypertensive borderline, you don't really, have to follow this so strictly. But maybe we could talk about something that you see on here that you would like to try and incorporate.
Yeah.
And we could set maybe 1 or 2 goals and meet up again and discuss how that has gone.
I need time to think about it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if I can. I'm just trying to process all this at the moment. If do I need to come up with some kind of goals right now for you?
We can talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
So, do you have any questions about this that we've?
I don't. No.
Okay.
Not at this time. No.
So
it's a lot to take in.
It is a lot. Yes, that is very true. Is there anything that jumps out to you, like, this is something I'd be interested in looking at a little bit more?
I would. I mean, I would definitely be willing to try it.
Okay.
Not exactly sure how.
That's okay. Is there anything about one of these particular food groups that you'd like to try? Maybe just focusing on one of those, or even just...
Well, I mean, based upon my lifestyle, and it's like, so how could I incorporate this in my Mexican? I mean, you know, it's Mexican. They give you a lot. Is that something that should I just like not eat the full serving?
Well, that could be something you could consider if that's something you would be interested in. Maybe just looking at, okay, well, what am I really getting in this meal? So I've got my rice, I've got my chicken, my tortilla, and just looking at what those things fall into in these categories.
Okay, because like beans, so I've got
you've got beans.
I've got the beans, and I have the lettuce and the pico, which is tomatoes and onions. And again, it's very difficult to try to figure out how many servings something like that is.
It is, and that's why you don't have to look at these things and think, okay, I have to measure out everything,
right?
Because trying to follow the DASH diet. That's not
it's unrealistic,
especially if you're going to go out and eat. Because it's just difficult.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier if you're measuring it out yourself and making it at home. And if that's not something you feel comfortable with, then that's not something we're going to try and push.
Yeah, because that's probably not an option that I would, unfortunately, as much as I should, but at this stage of the game, I'm probably not going to put the time into doing that. So I would not want to ask you to go and help me figure all this out. And it's like, and then when I know in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm not going to do this, or I probably won't do it. So probably the best thing for me is and I've always been told it's like breakfast is the most important thing. So it's like if I'm going to change or try to follow this a little bit, I feel like I need to, maybe incorporate just having, even if it's something light, like a whole grain bagel or something like that, and just having that as far as my breakfast. And maybe that, if I was to do that, then maybe that will help follow this a little bit, and then maybe not eat so much of the bad stuff at lunch.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
So you feel more comfortable starting with, well, let's incorporate some breakfast.
Yes.
And I'll try and follow these guidelines a little bit more at breakfast time.
Yes.
And see if that translates a little bit throughout the day.
Yeah. And I know I don't do enough fruit. So if I had like a piece of fruit, even, just, a clementine in the morning plus maybe a half a bagel or something, or even if it was just a piece of half of whole wheat toast, that might, I don't know, maybe you tell me.
No, I think that's a great idea. If you're comfortable.
Yeah, and that's something that's doable for me. That's definitely doable for me.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable do you feel you could incorporate breakfast during the work week?
No, I'd say 9 to 10. I mean, it's just a matter of getting in that habit.
Okay.
I mean, unfortunately, my routine this has been my routine, and it's not the best routine. I realize that, and I think that something like that, it's like I have the time to do it. I just don't do it.
So what would it take for you to, get you to do that?
Motivation on my own part. I mean,
okay.
I mean, I would do it. I mean, I could say, okay, I'm just, it'd be kind of like a goal that I would set. It's like, okay, I'm going to set this. I'm going to set this goal. I'm going to check my blood pressure now. And it's like, and then I'm going to do this for a month, and then check my blood pressure. I could do my little log, my blood pressure log that I had done. Check it again and see if it makes a difference.
Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, so
Okay.
maybe we can make that our goal for this
Yeah.
session.
I think that would be great.
So if you want to write that down, or
Yeah.
if you just want to
Okay.
think about it, that's
No,
fine.
I can write it down.
Okay, so you're going to incorporate breakfast, trying to incorporate some of these things that you don't typically eat, so the whole grains and the fruits.
Yeah.
You might want to incorporate something else when you're looking at this. If you go to some of these resources, you might find out some other ideas.
Yeah, and I will definitely take a look at that because
Yeah.
I think, I'm always open to suggestions. I'm just a creature of habit. That is my biggest problem. I'm in a routine. I do the same thing, and it's like, sometimes I don't really look outside the box as I should. So, but I do. I mean, I could do, like I said, the toast and whatever, and maybe a piece of fruit. Try that. I definitely think I could do that.
I think that's great.
So,
how many days a week do you think you could do that?
I would try to do it on my work days.
Okay, so
honestly, that I would do 5 days a week. I could see myself doing it 5 days a week.
Okay,
so I'll write that down.
I think that's great.
Okay, all right. I think that's a good start.
I think so too. So what we can take from here today is we're going to try and eat this breakfast during your work week. Maybe the piece of whole grain toast and a piece of fruit. We can look at these serving sizes and these guidelines to help track that.
Yeah.
You can look at your blood pressure now. And then if you'd like to meet up again in, a month you said, then we could definitely look and see, where you're at, how this has helped, if it has helped.
Right.
And maybe see if you'd be interested in trying to incorporate anything else.
I would like that.
You would like that?
I do. I would like that. I think that would be really helpful.
All right.
It's a good start.
I think that's great. I'm very excited for you.
Me too.
I appreciate you filling all of this out and just being open to the possibilities and the idea of changing your diet, because I know it's not the easiest thing, especially if you're a creature of habit.
Yes, you're right.
So I think this is great, and I would love to meet up with you again in a month. We could schedule it.
I would like that.
All right.
It's like, mark me down.
I will. Sounds great. Well, it was very nice meeting you, Kim.
It was really nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.